Just by way of introduction, I'm Matt. I'm the founder of NimbleBrain. Really excited to be here and share more about what we're working on. I have a couple slides here. I'm going to move pretty quickly through some of this content. We're going to talk about how we orchestrate our builds to actually orchestrate some of the intelligence within the platform. And we'll give you a quick demo of what NimbleBrain and the studio is under the hood. Not a deep dive on these topics. If anybody wants to go deeper, there's my LinkedIn there if you want to QR code it. There's some resources at the end too. So we'll start here at a super high level. What is NimbleBrain? NimbleBrain is a conversational workflow automation platform. And so what that means is you can build agents and workflows, but instead of using kind of what you would conventionally use, diagrams, workflows, or flowcharts and connecting boxes, you just talk to it. And so it's all based on natural language. And so we can build AI agents inside the platform, or we built an AI agent inside the platform called 𝘵𝘯, and she's basically like your guide. So it's your AI assistant that tells you how to build things. You tell 𝘵𝘯 what you want. 𝘵𝘯 helps you figure it out. It helps you connect all the dots, connect all the pieces. And then you can also refine those agents and playbooks and automations all through conversations. And so we're focused really on sort of democratizing this technology out to folks that may not know how to connect the pieces, and then who want to build and deploy really, really rapidly. So you can say, hey, make this output blue, make the tone more concise, those sorts of things. And 𝘵𝘯 does that. I will emphasize, we are not building applications, right? We're not trying to be lovable. We're not trying to be Replit. We're building orchestrations and automations. And this is how we do that, all the pieces that we put into place. We sit on kind of a technology stack. Of course, at the bottom, all the open standards. The MCP community has been awesome. The protocol spec, the bundle format, the registry schemas, right? We use those to build our open source infrastructure. Everything that sits in the middle is all of our open source stuff. We've standardized a lot of our technology, our runtime, the way we distribute stuff on MCP-B is the packaging format that I think just got moved into, the broader MCP organization. We built a service called MPack that packages and distributes these primarily through GitHub releases and a bunch of actions we built. We'll show you how that works in a second. And then our internal runtime, we have this thing called NimbleTools Core, which is a Kubernetes runtime. Takes these bundles, knows how to spin up resources, knows how to deploy them. And then we curate all of these inside of a registry. It's basically a sub-registry from the main one. We've added a little bit of registry syntactical sugar on top of it with memory and CPU, a number of replicas of things specific to our application and our implementation. And then you can take, a JSON schema from the server, you can throw it at the runtime, and we know how to spin it up. And then the studio on top of that allows you to orchestrate and build all these agents and fun things that we do with 𝘵𝘯. We'll show you in a second. And so how we actually build these MCP servers, we're not going to actually build one, but we'll show you sort of the packaging lifecycle from our perspective. You write your MCP server in your favorite language, TypeScript, Go, Python. We use a lot of fast MCP. Shout out to the fast MCP team. They do an awesome job. We package those up with a GitHub action into a spec-aligned MCP-B bundle, or actually multiple bundles for multiple architectures. We produce these artifacts. We push them into GitHub registry or GitHub releases. And then those artifacts become discoverable inside of our own internal registry. So NimbleTools can then find them, can deploy them, can run them. And then the studio that our customers use on top of that, this is really all seamless to them. You just tell 𝘵𝘯, hey, I want you to check stock prices. It goes to the registry and goes, oh, I have FinHub, and it's an API that connects to stock prices, and it knows how to connect to it. It knows how to prompt the user for the right actions, and it can go build those automations for you. And so when we're building them or building and deploying these, this is basically the two pieces of it. On one hand, it's a simple YAML file, goes into your GitHub CI. On the release, we build the bundles, we push multiple architectures. Inside of the registry, we have the registry team pushed out support for MCP-B bundles. We have basically a fully qualified URL to the format. And this is our abbreviated server.json that you'd see on the right. These are all public from our the way we use it now. Our registry is all public, but The way we use it for other customers too, we can point to a private source, and so we can really point anywhere. We can unlock, some air gap deployments. We can sideload these things. You can even do these mix of public-private workflows. We have some customers that are saying, "Hey, I have HubSpot, an MCP, remote MCP server, right? We didn't build anything for that, but I have this internal esoteric like vehicle database. Like I want to connect those two together, and so we can do these public-private, orchestrations, all sort of powered on top of our platform and on using these MCP bundles. So it's pretty cool. And this is really the payoff. With all this sort of build and packaging stuff up front, you can basically run these things anywhere. You package it up. We have our CLI that you can use for Cloud Desktop. Of course, you make an update to MCP server.jsons, and that allows you to run these inside of Cloud. Other than one of the main reasons why we like this is that other than the network latency to download these bundles, they're effectively like these inert zip files, right? Like they're super lightweight, they're super fast. Unlike a UV or an NPM that has to sort of go out and make network calls, grab additional packages, they just spin up almost instantly. So it helps us on our runtime too. But really, the whole point of this process that I ran through fairly quickly is to get these into the registry so that they're discoverable, so that they can be used and they can be orchestrated across. And that's really where Nira comes in. So we want to be able to say, hey, Nira, connect me to, we're using Echo in this example, but could be really any connector that's available in the system. She figures it out. She knows where to find it. She knows how to configure it. She knows what actions to surface to the user, that sort of thing. So same bundle, 3 different use cases, 3 different environments, probably more so. But what I want to do now is introduce you all to Nira and to the NimbleBrain Studio, which is our SaaS application that people can use. So I'll flip over to that now. Excuse me. All right. So we're going to start here. This is a clean workspace that we come into. What you see here is actually, pardon me. What you see actually here is we get these briefings that get generated on a regular basis. This is what we mean by sort of like conversational interface. There's no dashboards, there's no graphs, there's no charts. It just tells you what's going on. And you can click the buttons all in here and talk to Nira to actually start understanding what's happening at a more granular level. Let me try to make this a little bit bigger for you guys. There we go. All right, so workspaces are isolated environments. And so you run your workflows inside of these, or your automation workflows inside of these workspaces. They're all secured by RBox, so you can have different users in different workspaces, different MCP servers in different workspaces, right? Before we build anything, I'll just show you some of the connections under the hood. And so this is what's available out of the box. We have a number of core platform services that we've baked in. So we have, Nimble Mail, News, Search, Weather. So these you can come in and just start building without having to connect anything else. The majority of the other connectors are OAuth 2 connectors or bring your own key connectors. And so we can connect to Airtable or Calendly. These are OAuth 2. Ahrefs, DeepL, some of these other ones, IP info that we have down here, we'll show you in a second. These are all sort of driven by API keys. And so we would connect those and you'll see how that works here in a second. If you also want to bring your own MCP server and sort of bypass the whole registry process and upload this straight into your workspace, you can create a connector. This will be available next week. We'll be able to just push MCP bundles straight into your workspace. Right from the studio. Nira is here. Nira is omnipresent. And so what you can actually do when you want to build something, you can click the little button on the side, Nira pops out, or you can press Control K and she flies in and out too. So we're going to go ahead and build our first playbook. Playbooks for us are sort of synonymous with workflows, but it's sort of the intention here is to say it's a set of instructions and then Nira knows how to take care of the rest. So it's a little bit simpler there. Rather than trying to fat finger this on the live stream, I'm going to copy and paste. I'm going to say, build me a playbook called Daily News. It's going to run every morning at 8 a.m. and it's going to give me a summary of the top tech headlines. So I'll run that. And what you'll see here is Nira knows what's in your workspace. She knows what's available to you. She's going to discover what's available. She's going to use your input. she's going to create a set of instructions, and she's going to build the playbook, and then she's going to redirect the UI. So she's going to bring you to that playbook right from the chat. And Neera is also context aware. So what Neera was able to do, grab from my profile as part of the build process. When I said 8 a.m., it says 8 a.m. every morning, Hawaii time. So everything's context aware. Neera knows about you. Neera actually knows about what's on the screen too. So when you say this or it knows what playbook or agent you're looking at, that sort of thing. So I can go ahead and I can run this. You get a sort of a debug view here. It'll warm up. It'll start to execute. You'll see the logs that start streaming through from that standpoint. You see the tool calls, that sort of thing. A lot of our customers, they don't necessarily use this view. Everything's API enabled. I'll show you what that looks like here at the end. But this is sort of the output view of what you would get. What we're doing here is we're just getting the top headlines, and then we can view them in this modal window. Not the most useful, right? So now I want Neera to help me actually improve this. So I can say, can you add mail and email me the results? So what it's going to do here is going to discover I have additional connectors. Nimble Mail is a mail service. I'm going to make that connection. You saw the connection, I don't know if it was subtle, it went from 1 to 2. Now I have connections and tools that are available as part of the playbook here. Now I can run this again. And you'll get the same sort of news analysis and summary, but now the addition of the email that gets sent out to me. And I'll show you what that looks like here in a second. And the same type of refinement that we just did, we can change output format. We can change, include links, don't include links. Hey, I want you to look up AI news. I care about NVIDIA because it's really what all of us here on this call care about. What are the stock prices, those sorts of things. You can add in any sort of connector that's available inside of the system organically. So the emails take a little bit here, but you'll see the tool call that comes back from the email. And then I'll pull up the email under Studio Automations. Let me refresh this. There we go. 8:19 a.m. Daily tech news that came from automation at nimblemail.app. And this is the top tech headlines. So we have a lot of people that are using this on the platform just to say, hey, give me the most important things that happened, for the topics that I care about. We have just, daily automations that get kicked off. So that's one. I'll show you one that's a little bit more business focused. Well, first I'll show you one other cool feature. So Neera is very proactive. And so if you misconfigure something, Neera will tell you about it. So I'm going to intentionally make an empty playbook. And an empty playbook means a playbook that has no connections associated with it. Has no connections, has no use, can't really do anything, can't orchestrate across that, right? So empty playbook, I'll just do something awesome. I'll create that playbook. Now, once I go into that playbook, what you'll see here that pops out on the right, gives you a little proactive, hey, you've got an empty playbook. I detected that your configuration is kind of messed up. How can I help? So you can click that. It'll drop you into the chat. You can refine it in real time, just like we did with Neera, with the daily news playbook. Last one here, I'll show you. I have a pre-canned one, just a one that we have already with a partner we're working with here. I mentioned IP info before. So we have IP info. IP info does a whole wealth of IP and network related information. They've been in business for 15 plus years now. They got a wealth of knowledge. We can build a playbook in the same way. I'll show you the kind of the chat that we built. Actually, I'll do it here in real time. I'll delete that. What we want to be able to do is build a VPN detector. That's a use case that we have from a security standpoint. Say if build me a playbook called VPN detector. It takes an IP address as a parameter. It uses IP info to check if it's behind a VPN. And if it is, send an alert to IP info security in Slack. So I'll connect that. I'll let this run. It'll search the connections. I've got an IP info and I've got a Slack connection. It's going to wire those up. It's going to create the playbook in the same way. And now you can see what gets created here. We get check the IP address, and then we get @ IP address, which is a parameter in our sort of nomenclature. The parameter gets automatically created down here. I can add a default IP address here. Let me pull the IP address. Where did I have that? Let me grab what my IP is. I'm on a VPN here. There we go. So I run behind NordVPN. I can drop this in as a default value. I'll change that. Now let me just go run that. So I've got the IP value that gets put in here. I can execute it. And so now what it's going to do is going to orchestrate organically or agentically across these different MCP servers we have. We have get plus IP info, which is a premium option from the IP info team. It allows them to say, hey, is it a VPN or not? It detected it did. So now you see the results that come here and it says, hey, I sent the alert to Slack. So now let me pull up my Slack. And there is the alert that came in. VPN detection alert. Here's the IP. Here's the status. Here's some context information with it. And so this is pushing the Slack as a MCP connected. This really could be any type of quote unquote Lego brick that you want to put in there. What we're seeing a lot from a security standpoint is saying, hey, if we've got maybe a video streaming service, they want to block VPN connections. They want to make agentic updates into their firewall rules and things like that. And so you could drop in an MCP server instead of sending to Slack. You could maybe make a call to your Cisco router, right? So there's a lot of cool things that we can unlock with this type of technology. So that's kind of it from a quick overview of the demo and the studio here. I did want to make a note. Everything that we have inside of the platform is available via an API. We have public API docs, so playbooks, conversations, agents, that sort of thing. And then we have our public MCP registry API. These all, again, conform to the registry spec that the standards body puts out, the MCP registry team. We support a small subset of them, basically the discovery ones. We don't do the manage pushes and things like that, but everybody can come play around with it. We've got a bunch of resources here if folks are interested. Studio docs, registry, our GitHub repo, MPack, which is that packaging format. We just published the white paper too. If everybody wants to chat, Discord, or connect with me on LinkedIn.
Awesome, Matt. Thanks so much for diving into that, and congrats on the project, company, everything. How long have you been working on this?
So we formed in 2024, but we've gone through multiple iterations as the industry has evolved. We started very early on with actually our own internal sort of MCP-like tool execution framework. We actually had a thing, like a class called NimbleTool, and we were using it. And then all of a sudden MCP came out and we went, oh, like this is what we should use. So hence the NimbleTool name that got pulled into sort of the service and the open source piece that we use now.
And as you've kind of gone through those iterations, how about the product? Like, when did this product start to come together? Has this been around for a little while now? Are you still, obviously talked about new features coming next week and stuff, so you're clearly in pretty early rapid development on it. Where are you, where is this at now in terms of, have you seen a lot of adoption already? Or are you still kind of in the early, like just trying to get people to check it out and see what they think?
So we had a number of folks on a previous version of our platform. We sort of migrated everybody to the studio, I want to say November. So I guess 2 or 3 months now. We have a couple hundred folks on the platform, all building different types of automations. And then a couple folks, I would say like larger SMBs, folks in the mid-tier that are either design partners or pilots and ongoing contracts where we're doing sort of these, like I mentioned before, sort of alluded to, these public-private integrations. Excuse me. Everything that we have can be deployed into sort of a bring your own cloud environment. And so we can deploy the whole stack. We can build custom MCP bundles, and then we can start to orchestrate inside of their own enterprise, which is a cool feature to have. So we've seen a lot of interest around that.
Awesome. Darren, any questions you have for Matt?
Yeah, maybe I missed it. Like in your UI, like, can you see like all the lists of like tasks that or playbooks that you've run? Like, what does it look for someone coming in?
Oh, yeah. So we get an activity view here, and so you get everything that ran. You get some schedules that run. You get details of what happens. So this is one of the ones I ran previously for IP info. You get event timelines. You can kind of turn things on debug, and you can dive. You can really drill in. What we're focused on is trying to do very much like progressive disclosure. Like the initial view is really tailored towards someone at like the business level to build automations, but realizing they're going to ask somebody on their team to be like, what's going on with this thing? And then there's going to be an engineer that has to like click through the button. So we sort of have best of both worlds.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like really, like well thought out and everything. Like it was one good thing I was curious, because we have like success and failure is like, how do you determine if it succeeds or failed?
We have an LLM judge effectively inside of it. So as the executions run, the last thing that we do is we evaluate the output, and then we have a set of rules that say, hey, based on what the user was asking, based on the outputs, based on the tool calls, sometimes you might get partial success. Sometimes you get network failures or an MCP server that has gone up or down. And so it's like, I had to execute, or I planned on executing 5 tool calls. I only ran 3 of them. Partial success. Like, I don't really know what's here. And then on the back end, you'll get all sort of the product notifications and alerts to say, hey, you scheduled this thing and it failed 3 times yesterday. Like, you should go fix it. The briefings on the front end help you do this. So it says, hey, I found some VPN connections and tried to send security alerts, but it didn't work. Help me fix this. Some of the stuff we baked into Nira too, there's sort of automatic support tickets that get created. So we integrate with Intercom on the back end. And so when you click help me fix this, it will start to diagnose it. If it can't, it creates a ticket that automatically goes to our support team. And then we also integrate with the 𝘰𝘯𝘊𝘰 MCP team or MCP server. And so when you ask Nira about how to do things, it's not just like some rag lookup, and it's not some sort of, canned thing that never gets updated from a documentation. We build the code and we update the docs, and the minute the docs are updated, Nira becomes immediately better, because it's using the MCP server that's provided by the 𝘰𝘯𝘊𝘰 docs. So it's a cool, nice round trip.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I'm curious. So like, so there's a lot of AI automations that go like more N8N approach, more workflow driven. It's like, what was the decision to kind of go with basically a prompt and tools? Like, there's no because there's always this idea of like, well, how do I know it's going to do the right thing, or how is it deterministic? Like, is it going to be deterministic? Or people get very worried about kind of that stuff. It's like, how has that experience been?
Yeah, we've actually gotten feedback on some of those different other folks that are in the space, whether it's the N8Ns or the Zapiers or the make.coms. Like, how come you guys aren't like, where's my diagram, right? And we don't plan on going down that route. We think the future of this is all going to be conversational. We've gotten some feedback from customers that actually have put us head to head with some of those other companies, and they're like, yours is just easier to use. And so that's kind of where we want to go. I don't think, and nothing to those other companies out there. I mean, N8N and Zapier, they make awesome products. I've used them, deeply in the past, but I feel from a vision standpoint, everything is going to go conversational. The way the text and the inputs that we have here that are set up, this is a natural stepping stone into doing this all through voice. And so like we have just a little behind the curtains, there'll be a mobile app that gets rolled out in the future. So you can basically just say like, hey, Nira, do this for me. And it just does it. And it's all through voice, and it's all based on the platform that we have under the hood. So I just think getting out of these really statically rigid defined workflows that when they break or when they don't work, you need to enable an engineer to go do it. Like, this should be in the hands of everybody inside of the organization. That's really what we're focused on. Yeah, I think that's a real difference between the kind of the prompt based and the workflow. So the workflow is like, it's an engineering thing, and it's great for, it works really, really well for if you have like a lot of data pipeline type things, you want to process a bunch of data and summarize it or something like that, where it's like, you have like terabytes, and but in terms of like daily automations and stuff like that for this, like, I really like this prompt based thing. We actually got that question specifically. They were like, hey, we built this thing in N8N. It grabs data from Databricks and it, you know, does all this ETL stuff and puts it over to here. Like, can I build that in yours? I want to compare the two applications. We're like, nope, that's not what we do. Like, we're not that type of application. You shouldn't go with us, you know?
Yeah, it's really a different use case. And you know, kind of seems to be reflected in your product where it's like, as you said, it's like you're kind of going more towards the high level business person. And then, you know, an engineer or something might be able to debug it. But this is really cool. I'm amazed to see how, because like you were saying, you built your own tool kind of thing. We did the same thing way back. I built a thing called GPT-script, and I fooled around with this stuff way back early. This style orchestration, if you could, like GPT-script, you look at the old examples and stuff, and it's like I really liked it back then, and I'm kind of excited that it's becoming really, because it's the most simple and logical way to kind of to do this or whatever. I think it's because I was expecting your product when you started talking where it's like, oh, you chat and then you generate code or a DSL under the hood and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
The fact that you just generate another prompt or what, you know, it's like, but that's kind of the beauty of it, because sorry, this is like me kind of ranting a little bit. It's like I find it's best to have AI, like instead of you having to write that playbook, you talk to AI to have it write the playbook.
Yes.
Like it will do a better job of constructing what a playbook should be than you would trying to write it yourself. And so it's like, so there's even value in talking to AI to have it generate a prompt. Don't try to write a prompt yourself. So it was great. I mean, I think your product looks great.
Cool. Really excited. Matt, thanks so much.
So SaaS is all closed source, like, and then there's open source parts. So
yeah, the whole infrastructure is all open source under the hood. So the core, all the Impact stuff, people can go to the GitHub org and check that out. The intention would be that we would slowly open source the rest of the platform as well. We're just trying to get all the, you know, make sure we don't have any security holes and things like that.
Yeah, and the Impact stuff looks really cool too. I'm actually gonna look at that.
Cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, we have a white paper. We actually just submitted a talk, Shannon. So if you got any pull,
No, I like the Impact. That's I kind of wish we had more time, because that solves a really different issue. Because we realized like we do a lot of things where we put MCP servers in Docker containers, because there's a lot of like practical that's how we distribute them, because what's the dependencies? You have to kind of lock the dependencies, but you don't want to do that at runtime. And so I think it's interesting.
That was the impetus for it ourselves too. We had all these STDIO things. We were writing these adapters and trying to figure out how to get, and it would like startup times were like a minute and a half to get these things to run. And then we just started bundling things, and it's like, we're down to less than 10 seconds startup time. Most of that is like Kubernetes doing a probe and saying, is it available? Like, cause it's up in like a second and a half, and all you have is this network latency just to download the bundles.
Yeah. And then the whole MCPB that kind of perfectly aligns. I mean, you look at your whole product, and I just like that you can see each kind of component, how it's kind of ended up aligning really nicely with the community and the specifications and stuff. So it's cool. Yeah.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it.